Let's talk about pots. What size pot do we use? When we receive our tree, if we receive our tree in the 4x4 by 13.5, we recommend on doubling the size. So typically you go from a 1 gallon pot, and this is not quite a 1 gallon, but it's a trade gallon. We go from a 1 gallon to a 3 gallon. That's a good transition. It gives you plenty of room to get soil down in. Now you see that the pot is a little bit taller than the pot you're going to be going to. Just remove a little bit of soil on the bottom so you have about a 1/2 inch to a 1 inch depression in your pot. That helps you hold fertilized soil, water. Anytime anything else is added, it keeps it from falling over the side. Then once you have a 3 gallon tree, the next size I'd recommend going to from a 3 gallon would be going to a 6.3. We just call it a trade 7. So you go from a 3 to a 7. That gives you plenty of room to get your soil packed down around the sides. We don't want to pack it extremely tight, but we don't want any air pockets. One thing we actually do is when we pick the tree up, we drop it a few times to see if it's going to pack anymore. Then when you get your tree from your 6 or your 7, we go to a 15. The reason we don't go from a small pot all the way to a big one is every time you go from one pot to another, you get a flush of foliage, you get a flush of roots. So if you went just from your small pot to your large pot, you would get an extremely large flush, but then you wouldn't have the opportunity of getting that next one. So we always like to go in increments, because when your tree is, let's say, 5 years old and you've moved it 4 different times, you've got all those flushes and you have a really nice shaped tree, a really good root system. You've got roots that are concentrated on the inside of the pot, another flush of roots, another flush of roots, another flush of roots, and they're not all around the outside, because the roots like to go as far as they can and then circle. So we want to keep those roots in the middle of the pot, kind of like a Brillo brush. We want to keep them tight on the inside and gradually increase that pot size. You might actually have to do it twice a year, depending on how well you're growing your tree, how much fertilizer you're giving it, and the type soil you're using. The better your soil, the better your amendments, the better your fertilizer, the better your tree is going to grow. Like, take for instance, this tree here is only 2 years old. So for a tree to go from a grafted tree to this size in 2 years is relatively good. If you have any questions, send us a message. We'll be glad to answer them when we can, and we pretty much get to all of them within a very short time. Thanks for your business, and remember to like and subscribe. Come see us, MadisonCitrusNursery.com.